right from the center of the Jewish district. This is Kashmir. Look at that. Look how beautiful this place is. So in this video, we're going to be talking about some pros and cons about living in Poland, just in case you want to come for a visit or if you're actually looking for relocating to this country. Stay tuned. In case you wonder, I am from Colombia and I have spent the last 10 years in Europe, different cities, different countries, and I spent 4 years living here in Krakow, Poland. So maybe you might want to hear a couple of my opinions. This is a very cute Airbnb where I'm staying, but kind of boring to stay here, so let's go for a walk. So for sure, the pro number one would be history and heritage. Believe me when I say that there is no street or corner in Krakow that doesn't have history, doesn't have any cool background. And I don't know if you know, but Krakow in Poland actually enjoys from a very interesting variety of historical influential people. Example, Marie Curie, Chopin, Nicholas Copernicus, even the Pope, John Paul II, you might remember. So history and heritage actually is very vivid in the city and in the country. So if you enjoy from places that have this oldish vibe, historical background, museums and stuff like that, Krakow might be a good place for you. So number two, money and living cost. Obviously, compared to other capitals, Krakow and somehow in general Poland is way cheaper. The living cost is also way more affordable. How salaries are competitive for the country. So this is the discussion. Like, can you earn money in Poland? Well, the answer is yes. The issue is when you compare the currency, which is zlotys, to euros or dollars. Obviously, the currency is way more devaluated. So that's something that you cannot compare. But if you come here, if you get a good job, you're going to have a regular salary that's going to be helpful for you to afford the life in Poland. So actually here, you can have a very modest life with your job. Now, if you go travel to closer capitals such Munich, or if you go to Austria or Switzerland, obviously there's going to be a disbalance, but this is just exchange of currency. Maybe you're wondering about normal cost of things. Example, rent. Well, rent, I'm going to talk about studios. A studio can be something around 1.5 to 2,000 zlotys. And that's going to be a nice studio. Let's talk about beer. It's going to be something around 4 to 5 zlotys. Let's going to talk about cocktails, drinks. It's going to be something between 15 to 20 zlotys. If you have a partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, you go for drinks, at least for a couple of drinks, you have to count on 50 zlotys. If you want to go for dinner, you have to count on around 100 zlotys in a kind of cool quality restaurant. So in general, living cost is affordable, but from your salary, the biggest piece is going to go for rent. Renting, because this is becoming a more touristic city, many students are coming here to study. So renting is always increasing prices. But in terms of daily life, buying groceries, the everyday life, I think is pretty affordable. Last but not least, transportation. Public transport, at least buses and trams, the ticket, regular ticket, normal ticket is 4 zlotys, which means something around €1 or a little bit less. About transportation, it's worth mentioning that the city is very well connected. Trams, buses, and regional trains go all around the city and actually Poland. It's very cheap, affordable. You can have this card, you can have discounts if you buy monthly and yearly tickets. So, and also something I have to mention, very punctual. I mean, every couple of minutes you're going to have one bus, one tram going to your direction. Also, Krakow in the urban area is very small, so it's easy to reach any of the districts within minutes. Nightlife. Nightlife in Krakow is actually pretty cool. It's very vibrant. There are many things to do. many pubs and bars, and there is this vibe that has this Eastern European underground thing that is about the music, the culture, the fashion, is the environment. So you're definitely gonna have a good time. Nowadays in Krakow, the coolest place to hang out with your friends for a beer is Kazimierz, which ironically, time ago was the Jewish district. Now is the epicenter of social mixture, social culture. People, foreigners, they just come to Kazimierz to experience the vibe. Have a beer, have a glass of wine, obviously a shot of vodka with the locals, local places where beer is cheap for the locals, where vodka is cheap for the locals, but that's part of the experience. And it's funny to see the contrast of a place that was hit by historical facts, like, as I mentioned before, the genocide, the Holocaust, but nowadays is the epicenter of social culture. That's the place where you hang out with your friends, where you meet people. So definitely Krakow is special in that sense. It's a place where you find a mixture between history, underground vibes, social life, good nightlife. It's amazing. Now, another thing that is worth mentioning is the airport of Krakow. This is Jan Paweł II or Jan Paul II. This is the international airport from this city. It's very close from the city. If you take an Uber, it's going to be 20 to 25 minutes to the city. And if you take the train, going to the main station, Krakow Główny, is going to be 30 to 35 minutes. But the trains, for example, are passing very regularly. Also from here, exactly from here, you might take the bus if you want, but that's going to take around 45 minutes. But it depends where you go. But as a tourist, probably you're going to be going to the main station, so the train, or just take an Uber. The Uber in zlotys is around 65 to 70 zlotys, which, if I'm not wrong, is something around 20 to 25 euros. Now, the good thing about this airport is that it's very small. So let's say that it's friendly to the tourists. So if you come, you don't have to expect to be running. Probably you're not going to be like crazily hectic looking for the gates, and no, it's actually very small. Literally, you go in, you go upstairs directly to the checkpoints. That's it. So it's very cool to have a small airport that tourists can navigate. So yeah, thumbs up for the airport of Krakow. Another thing that is very nice for people who are thinking of relocating to Krakow is that you should know that you might have a lot of benefits in terms of discounts for different things. Example, transportation, shopping in drugstores, shopping in like shopping centers, museum entries like zoo, cinema. So different from other cities. Now I'm comparing to Vienna, because in Vienna you don't have those benefits. In some professions, for example, teachers, doctors, if you are in the military, if you are retired, if you are a student, you have all different discounts for transportation. I know that doctors, for example, they have like 33% discount in transportation, in buses, in trains. I know that students, you have 15% for transportation. I know that retired people, they have like 45%. So it's cool to know that you have different discounts. Also, if you go to the museum, if you go to the zoo, depending on what you do, or the status you have, you might have different discounts. Now in Vienna you don't have, like probably students have, but them different professions, they do not enjoy from this type of discounts. So that's another good side of living in Krakow. You might have discounts in many things. Now, something else that we should consider is Poland's geographical location, because the location of Krakow itself is very strategic. Even more than Warsaw, even more than other cities, Krakow is in such a nice location that basically everything seems close. If you want to go to Italy, to Germany, to any part of Central Europe, it's like anywhere. And actually flying back to Krakow is super easy. So I think that different from other capitals, Krakow is one of those very ideal locations for travelers. So if you plan to explore Europe, from Krakow would be such a good thing. It will be nice and easy. Another good one for Krakow, looking for jobs. Many of you might be looking forward to relocate to Poland, looking for a job, and I might say that the market right now is huge. It's huge, mostly in everything about IT, technology, all that stuff, informatics. That's growing fast, and you might go to YouTube and check other videos about the growth that Poland is showing in terms of finances and all that. It used to be considered kind of a poor country, in the sense of being Eastern Europe. When you compare Poland, Slovakia, Ukraine, to the big tigers like Germany, Switzerland, Austria, yeah, there is a difference. However, right now Poland is growing so much that they think that Poland is going to become a huge, powerful nation in the upcoming years. So yeah, if you're looking for a job, at least in IT, technology, probably going to find a lot of offers in Poland. We have to keep the balance. There are a couple of good things that I've mentioned about Poland that are mostly positive, and actually I see the country with very positive eyes. However, it's not perfect, and there are a couple of things that you as tourists or people who would like to relocate to Poland should know. So these are a couple of cons or negative things that I see in Poland. First things first. The first thing that I would mention that you have to know in case you come from like South America like me is that bureaucracy and paperwork is hard. One, because instructions are never clear. Secondly, because of language. But by the way, language is another point. But it's not easy. There are some other countries that make life easier for tourists or for people who are trying to look for visas, looking for resident permits. In Poland, that's not the easiest place to do this. So you have to be aware of the fact that you're going to be going to these governmental offices, immigration offices, a lot. And if you don't speak Polish, you have to bring a Polish speaker or translator. Yes, point number 2 would be language. I've been in different countries, like right now I live in Vienna, I have to speak German now, I've been in other places, but Polish is difficult. So you have to be aware of the fact that you either want to invest in learning, or you're going to have some situation trying to get around with the local people who are very protective of their language, or I don't know, trying to learn it from friends, but somehow you have to learn it. It's not easy, but you might need it. Now, good thing about Krakow, especially in Warsaw, these are cities that are very multicultural, somehow international. Nowadays, a lot of international students are coming to Krakow. That means that the city is becoming more multicultural. So most of young people speak English, which is very good. But you might go to these small towns to visit in the mountains. Nobody speaks a word in English, and it's freaking hardcore Polish. This one is one that is hard to mention, but I have to be honest with you, tourists or people who want to relocate and move to Poland. And this is about culture and somehow a type of xenophobia. Yes, it's becoming multicultural. Yeah, you might go to the streets and you see students from all around the countries doing Erasmus in Krakow, in Warsaw, in Wrocław, in Łódź, in Lublin, up there in Gdańsk, beautiful place by the coast, north of Poland. But you might see a lot of French people, German people, Spanish people, Italian people, people from Portugal, etc. But my point is, if you walk the streets, this is something that I notice, and I'm sorry, I don't want to touch on a sensitive topic, but I want to be honest. If you walk the streets of Krakow or Warsaw, you won't see people with African roots there. You know what I mean? People, colored people, you won't see them. You won't, not much. You know what I mean? Not much. Probably some of you have been there and said, "Oh yeah, I saw a couple." Yeah, but that means not much. Because I've been in other places where actually the multicultural society, you see from the color of the skin, from languages in the streets, you actually see that it's multicultural. Poland is a little bit closed in that side. I don't know how, I don't know why. If there is xenophobia somehow, I don't know and I'm not sure, but that's a reality. That's a reality. So, if you are a person with African descendant roots, it's not that you're not going to be welcome in Poland, but I'm going to tell you that somehow you're going to feel a little bit singled out. that will be the way. Nobody's going to reject you, and Polish people are kind, but you won't see many colored people around. And I don't know if that might be an issue, I don't know, but that's something that I want to point out. And I'm sorry if I'm being sensible with this, but that's true. Because I come from Colombia. It's multicultural. You see people from all type of color, hairs, skins, and in Poland is, let's say, a very white country somehow. Continue talking about people. Now, there is something about Polish people that I heard the first time that I came to Poland, like to live, when I was saying bye-bye to my friends in England. And they were like, oh, it's going to be hard for you to make friends because Polish people are cold. Polish people are not friendly. This might be true. So that's why I'm going to put this in the con side, because it's going to be hard at the beginning, but I'm going to tell you something. So I lived 4 years. The first month, it is true. It's not that easy that you go around and people are smiling at you. No, they are more, I wouldn't say they are grumpy or cold or unfriendly, but I would say that Polish people are those type of people who look for close circle of friends. And sometimes when you are older like me, it's harder to penetrate those circles. When you come for Erasmus or like college or high school, it's going to be easier to blend into society. But when you are older, that's a little bit harder because, for example, in my experience, when I was meeting friends of friends, they were meeting friends from like primary school, secondary school, university. So they already established a group, and it was hard for me to integrate in that group. It's not that open. However, the years pass, you continuously meet people, you make friends, relationships strengthen, and at the end, I ended up with very good friends, Polish friends. So I would say that if you are looking for like immediate friends, it's gonna be hard. So take your time, get to know people. Something that I was doing was joining groups, like Facebook groups. Like there are people going to bike, like cycling around the mountains. Join these groups if you like sports. Running in the evenings. There are people joining in the Wisła River. They hang out to have some wine and play some music, but like picnic. Join these groups. There are literature books, people who talk about books and they meet, and so try to look for those things so you start integrating, mixing, mingling in society. Yeah. Now, this is my last comment about Poland in the negative side, because I'm very fond of Poland. I'm very grateful with Poland, and I had an amazing time in Poland. But there is one thing that at some point I was considering, and probably you are going to be in the same position, and it is that even though you can have a good life, I already said that you can have a good quality life with your job, whatever it is. If you have a good professional job, you can maintain a good life. You can have a nice apartment, a car, yes, inside Poland. Obviously, you're gonna feel that little gap when you go to Germany or Switzerland, because you're gonna feel that, yeah, the currency exchange is very hard. I mean, it's a very dramatic change, and you feel that you're spending 3 times more for a coffee or for whatever. Okay, but living in Poland, everything is fine. Everything is somehow affordable. The issue is in your career, whatever it is. I feel that in Poland, you are not going to advance much. So I feel Poland is nice for staying for a long time, or well, if you get married or something, if you have family plans, fine. But if your job is to come to Poland, grow in your career and financially, save money, that's not the place. Poland is not the place, because the economy at the moment is not the strongest. So probably it's not the best idea or the best strategy to come to Poland looking forward to save money, to grow financially. You want to pay your debt from Poland, maybe not. For example, in my case, everything was fine, but then at some point I was like, I'm not advancing much. And for my future stability, I'm going to look for a plan B. Poland is beautiful, it's amazing, but for that sense, maybe it's not the best. So that will be everything for this video. I hope that somehow this was a little bit educational, or at least gave you some perspectives, opinions about Poland, in case you have Poland in your mind. Anyway, the next video is going to be about touring around Krakow. I'm going to show you a couple of good places, so please stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment. That's going to help me a lot. You are the best. See you. Bye.